and I'm just thinking about the news.
What I want...
We discovered 14 Mile. We discovered 14 Mile. We discovered 20 Mile. At Shell Patch, I remember, must have been 56, Shell Patch, and it was, I got those big clusters of shell.
Yeah.
The only reason I had it, because we were getting those big clusters of shells,
Yeah.
and it was raining a little bit outside, so I was sitting in the tent, and I would just start to carve them.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason I had them, because we used to just break them up,
Yeah. And, yeah, so you...
about breaking up the shell. In Queens, the only reason we went up to Queens, that we looked for opal pipes.
Yeah.
And if we could find some boulder opal that was thick enough that we could slice off the boulder.
Yeah, well, we all know how it's done now. Yeah, we all know how it's done now. But you and your mates actually started the 14 Mile and the 20 Mile.
Yeah, 14 Mile and 20 Mile. They started that.
And that was in 56.
Or 12 Mile.
And
13 Mile. And we used to go and shoot snakes that used to fall in the holes on 13 Mile.
Yeah.
And then we looked at 40 Mile on the flat, that came 40 Mile later.
Yeah.
And we said that would be a very good, and if you get hold of Kevin Kent, he will remember this case for the Bulldogs. It was a very hard band.
Yeah.
That blasting this hard band.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Collins went over some shopping walk, and it blew right on his, he was bending over, and it blew, but it stopped only inches, how the shot booms in the ground.
Yeah.
It just stopped a few inches in the hard band, otherwise he would be in a goner.
Man.
I'll tell you exactly when we were, I remember something, exactly when we were at 14 Mile, it's when Sputnik, because we used to watch Sputnik going around.
Yeah.
And then we decided to send a Sputnik up with some bearings with a bulldozer and dynamite.
I think that was 57, wasn't it?
No, that must have been 56, 57.
Yeah.
57.
Yeah.
But I remember you were there looking for Sputnik. I remember that very well.
Yeah. Okay, now we're going to concentrate now on Andamuka. So you went over to Andamuka. Jim come up here, started buying dark black opal. He looked after the black opal. You looked after the light opal. And in 61 you brought an aeroplane, right? Is that the story?
Yeah, 61, I think. Yeah, I've been looking. Yeah, 61, because I had my...
And what type of plane did you buy?
I'll tell you what, hang on just a minute. The logbook is sitting in right here. I'll tell you when I took delivery of it, precisely because we had to wait for the rain and you know who helped me buy that, because I couldn't get sort of credit from the bank.
Yeah.
It was none other than, and then I did it with a bank, that he sort of guaranteed, and you got to give him credit for that. And that was my good friend, very good friend, Drake Sherman.
Yeah, yes. You flew him up there once or twice too.
No, we flew him all the time up there. We were together all the time.
Okay, so what sort of plane did you book?
December, hang on. All right, hang on. December, I had my license in 1960, December 1960. This is been a year. It's 61. January, hang on. In 19... Could be a local here, so it gets exactly. All right. In November in 1961, the November, hang on, Pete Johnston, Big Road, Romeo, Juliet, hang on. Okay. In November, I must have got it a little bit earlier, probably in October 61, because by November 28th the airplane was ready. You see, it came in a box, and I put it on, and I had a conversion done, and the first trip to Ananuka was December the 3rd in 1961. Sydney Parks, Broken Hill, for the Augusta QPD Ananuka.
Yeah. And what
and there was the only modern 210 retractable undercarriage in Australia.
Yeah.
And a few months after that, a fellow up in Queensland bought the second one, most modern airplane in Australia, and he was married to that movie star, Anne Baxter or someone.
Yes.
He had a ranch up there or something.
Yeah. How much did it cost?
That airplane cost £12,500 in those days.
Yeah.
£12,500.
Okay.
And then Ananuka for you. But I mean, I got the logbook here.
Yeah, no, that's all right. That's all I want to know. Now, you operated out of Andamuka, and you flew Greg backwards.
Yeah, Ananuka. And then what? One of the reasons I bought the airplane was, I used another airplane. I just see here. I borrowed an airplane, a 180, a Cessna 180, to fly over to Sydney.
Yeah.
I flew after a couple of trips to Sydney, after back in March of 61, and then I flew Cessna 175 to Sydney and back.
Mm-hmm.
Then I flew a Cessna 180 back in July.
Yeah.
While I was away. I had ordered the airplane, but it took a while.
Yeah. So you hired these planes while you was doing it. Now, what I want to know is that you used this airplane, to fly to Cooper PD2 and buy Opal?
Yeah, but let me tell you, I didn't really have a sort of part owner, because they had a company called Silver City Air Taxi that I bought into.
Oh, yes,
Broken Hill.
Yeah.
And I remember I sold the shares maybe 10, 15 years ago, because someone else took it over. So I had access to the airplane. So I remember Romeo Foxtrot Delta, let me see here. And the main reason was because we used to if you had to drive from up to Kupiti, it took forever, and you wrecked the car. Going to Sydney, you only could do 2 trips, and you wrecked the car. Where here I could fly from Ananuka, Kupiti to Sydney in a day.
Yeah.
But the main thing was also the important part. Here I could fly from Ananuka up to Kupiti early in the morning.
Yep.
Because it's only less than an hour flight.
Yeah.
And the first flight I used to land on the road and park between I got tips of it, park between like by Brewster store.
I need that photo for the book.
Yeah, and also the Flying Doctor used to land at I got some picture of Flying Doctor up in the double-decker one.
Yeah.
You never see those old pictures.
Yeah, the old de Havilland and Dragons.
Yeah, the Dragon, the Hamlin Dragon, yeah.
Now listen, I want a photo of your plane on the deck in the street at Coop Petey, right?
Yeah, landed there just on the street there. I got a picture of it where we...
You go good in the book.
On the street there.
You go good in the book.
I tell you, I tell you who I brought up there on one trip. I landed on the street. Johnny Johnston. You heard of him?
Yeah.
Finds a lot of open in Coop Petey when he was a little kid.
Yeah, his father Spencer and Mum used to live at Andamuka.
His father used to work for me, buy Opal for me.
Ah, is that it?
No, I had about 8-9 guys buying Opal for me, including Les Brzezinski. His name is Howard Opal today. He changed his name.
Yeah.
You know, in Sydney.
Yeah, Howard Opal.
Howard,
yeah.
Yeah, he left Howard, but his name was Les Brzezinski, and he used to buy Opal for me, and I had Johnston used to buy, and quite a few other people.
Yeah. Well, and they were buying while you wasn't in Andamuka. Was that the story?
No, they were buying for me even when I was in Andamuka, because you know, it's an old story that you know, not everybody would like you. You know, you know, people went. You know, it's just you know, you might have 10 guys like you and 2 not like you.
Yeah, I understand.
And, you know, you want to get control. I remember when that was a lot later, back in must have been late '60, when guys like what's his name again? He's a 70 Adventist. You know,
T-Boy Shelley.
T-Boy.
Yeah.
He came up there. He was making hats, and he said, is there anything I can do here?
Yeah.
I said, as a 70 Adventist family of white standards getting some Opal, maybe you can talk to them and bring it to me.
Yeah, I'm a 7-day Adventist too.
And that's how he started. That's how he started.
Yeah, I don't know if you know, but I'm a 7-day Adventist too.
I know that. I know that. I know.
Yeah.
I know. And also, you know, talk to the boys in Sydney. What's his name again? That was in his tooth. He was making shorts for school kids, and he wanted promotions. So I bought him some triplets.
Yeah.
And then one thing led to another, and he's a big bar. Well, he's over here, and you know, you always say, Darg, you always owe me a living. Who's those bars that's over here that's in Sydney, to the brothers?
Oh, yes, yeah, I can't pronounce. That starts with a T, I think.
He's got a son here. There was 3 brothers there. I mean, they got a place down in town there, but I don't think of their name. I mean, they are very big, and they have always been big in the industry, you know?
Yeah. Hey, listen now, let's get back to your aeroplane and tell me how you had that mingle. How you, what happened, mate? What happened when you put the first one down?
Oh, well, you know, the first one that went in was in...
yeah, explain it right from the word go, how it happened and what...
No, it was in '69.
Yeah.
You know, I used to do a lot of search and rescue, so I had no problem with the pen and all that. But it's, I had a turbocharged twin Comanche then.
Yeah.
And I was just getting married. I was going to get married in July '69.
Yeah.
And what happened, they were working on my twin Comanche.
Yeah.
And I had, Kitty Havlin lent me a Beechcraft 55.
Yeah.
that actually belonged to Richardson. Remember the guy that built the Victor?
Yes, I do.
The lawnmower.
Yes, I do.
Right?
Yep.
And so they were trying to sell me that, so they let me have it to check it out.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I had to go up to the Opal field there, and then in Namuka it was raining, so we had to use the emergency strip.
Yeah.
Now that we made the emergency strip, that is another story how we made it for.
But anyway, keep to this story.
To come in.
Keep to this story.
And yeah, and then what happened was on takeoff, the left engine stopped and the right, and of course it was because nobody put a placard in it, and I had to fight against, you can look at the documents, against Hawker, Beechcraft, all the big companies, and Victor, and Lloyd's of London and all that, because I didn't realize at the time, because there was about 20 or 30 cases of the same cases over in the United States, and they were waiting for this case. And luckily, one of the lawyers here, I was over in America here, and he gave me the detail of the test that they'd done at Edwards Air Force Base. This colonel done the test on it, because the Air Force was using this B-55.
Yeah.
Each crop for any. And when he done all the tests and said that it's got very bad spin characteristic, and the engine would stall on you because the long fuel tanks didn't have baffles in them, so the fuel got imported. So he was ready to take off after he had done all this at Edwards Air Force Base. 104 came in on dead stick.
Yeah.
They told him expedite to takeoff, because he was right on the lake there. I mean, the guy could hit him.
Yeah.
Because he coming in dead stick.
Yeah.
And he took off. He spun around, took off, bingo. The same thing happened to him, and bomb crashed and killed himself.
Yeah.
So I was one of the few survivors in this sort of crash. So then, when they found out what that really caused the problem, that it was the tanks was getting unported.
Yeah. How high was you when it happened?
Oh, about 50 feet.
Is that all? Yeah. Lucky.
And then the other one went, and we went in a sand hill, and it was the reason why it got unported because it was very rocky and holes and everything, because it was sort of a little emergency strip. I mean, really, the strip at all. I mean, as primitive as you can get them,
Yeah. You had somebody with you?
Going up the hill. Yeah, I had how many people were on board? I think it was, 4 people.
Any of them survived?
I had one person that was taken on to Adelaide to go to jail, to the police department. In the back, and I had my neighbor's mother in the back. And I had a young lady in the front. What the hell? She was one of the guy's girlfriend in the right-hand front seat. And in the court case, it came out, she said, I told her to get her feet down a bit below, legs and all that, And so she survived, and I survived, but the people in the back got killed because, so they got paid quite a bit of money from Beechcraft because the seat came adrift.
Oh.
The seat was, the belt was anchored to the seat, and of course the railing split, and the seat came out. I'll send you pictures of there.
Yeah, do that.
And and you can read in the paper. The final finding is that they didn't find any fault at all with me. None whatsoever.
I'm not going to make a big.
Of an airplane.
I'm not going to make a big thing out of it. I may not even put it in, but the point is, I was just asking, right?
Yeah, no. It's prudent, and so that's so it is. I mean, many times.
Okay, well, let's get back. Get back to opal buying at Andamuka.
At Sydney Airport, with half of the carling blown away and like an explosion, and that's one of these. I took a picture of it in the air. You can see stuff sailing, and I landed at Sydney Airport with it.
Yeah. Now, let's get back to Andamuka, and there must be some interesting information while you was there, detailed information you can tell me about. Nice patches of opal. I know they rarely got big patches at Andamuka like they did at Kupapiti, but occasionally they did.
They did. We got some big patches at White Dam. White Dam was producing some big lots later on.
Yeah.
But in German Valley, we got some beautiful opal. I remember, and this guy, he had opal the other day. Gee, I got to think of his name. From Melbourne. He bought it from Sherman's Kids. And Johnny Crosby used to be the cutter.
Yeah.
And Johnny and Greg and I worked together for a while, but then the partnership and all that.
Yeah.
But anyway, the opal was the most beautiful material, and it's like bricks of matchboxes. Because when Johnny Crosby cut beautiful ovals out of it, he got 75 or 76 carats to an ounce. That was very big,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unreal, I mean, and I saw some of the stones the other day, what's the name of those guys, because they bought some stone from Greg Schunk from those days, and they came from German Galley.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if they still have the stones there.
There were many blokes.
I got them to take a picture because that was beautiful material. But it was all beautiful stuff. Anywhere around inside Andamuka, it's just in the shallow German Galley, Stevens Creek. Beautiful opal, and of course, when you got opal in matrix blob, they're really nice. Nice opal, top material.
Top material. Can you remember any particular miner at all anywhere who got a nice big patch while you were there? One particular miner on one field somewhere?
Well, many of them. Like Andamuka was the big producer at that early time.
Yeah.
There was more people there than QP got far. Yeah.
I know it's hard to.
I gotta think of the guys, but I remember the Dutch family of White Cliff got a lot of opal, and the Christiansen. They came a lot later. They got some opal there because I helped them out there. What else? One guy got some nice parcel. It was, I don't remember his name. But no, his partner's daughter got shot dead in front of me, and
that would be Brooks's daughter, wasn't it?
Brooks's daughter. I was in there when it happened.
Yeah, and that half caste
died in my place. The guy that shot him died in my place.
Did he was a half caste chap, wasn't he? Who killed her.
Half caste, and
he used the 303 rifle.
Yeah, what happened? One of the I remember one of the guys went down the hole looking. We were looking for this guy, this half caste, and And I've never seen anyone come out of a hole. It's like he didn't touch the edge and flew out of the hole so fast. And then he said he shot at me, and we found the bullet. It misfired. He had a 303 rifle. Yeah. And then he had 2 bullets. He put another one in, and he had another one wrapped up in he tore one of the shirt pocket off and wrapped the other bullet in and had it in his other shirt pocket. Then he shot himself in the shoulder and type of thing, and we took him to my place, and between me and you, police wanted, because I think it was at the same time. Remember that affair where Aboriginal killed that girl in a cave or something? Remember that stuff?
Oh, only vaguely, yeah. Only vaguely.
He went free, so they were sick and tired of this, all this lawyers and everyone, and so they virtually just let him die. I remember he said, "Junkas, give me a drink of whiskey," and so I gave him a drink, and 2-3 hours later he was dead,
Yeah, they said he died.
I remember he died at my fireplace there,
Did he? Oh, the pipe, I thought...
in my house, in the fireplace, because that was only Mother's place there. Of course, being the airplane, I used the airplane looking for him and this and that. I mean, it was just a lot of things was happening, and where she flies. I mean, Jesus, if I look at my logbook, I remember so many things.
I remember in a helicopter you found a naked woman out of Cooper Pedy.
That was, we were
she went
in rescue, and I got Dick Bartell coming up in a helicopter, because I had, on the takeoff on Twin Comanche, she had full load, and it was a really hot day, and I had problem on one engine, so I had to go around and land, and I got Dick Bartell brought the Alouette. It's a French helicopter that's very good for high density altitude, like hot weather.
Just
out of my corner of my eyes, because you see, over all the years when you're looking for things, search and rescue, all the time you know what to look for, like kangaroos, like these trees. So the corner of my eyes, I spotted her, and that's what saved her life, for sure.
And you were a long way off track too. You shouldn't have been there.
No, they shouldn't have been there at all, and she was threw a thing over her, and we got her, and then she was right after a while, as long as you get water into them, that's okay.
Now listen, what do you think was the most important thing that happened to you at Andamuka?
The most important, the most interesting thing was, personally, was when I had to land on the clay pan, deliver a baby by myself, and she was direct descendant from Mutiny on the Bounty. She was a native, part native.
Yeah.
That was an interesting thing, because it was something.
Well, where'd you pick her up from? Where did she live? At Andamuka? Did she live at Andamuka?
Yes, she had a fight with someone, and she was pregnant, and someone bashed her with a backhand or the axe in her stomach. So, you have no idea how many fights. I remember I almost shot this Aboriginal lady in an airplane, because I was one of the few that had the firearm license for all for all the states. Yeah. Because 2 of them fought, and she stabbed the guy with a knife that went in behind the eye, and here's the knife sticking out. And at the same time he broke her arm. Yeah. So it was a dust storm, and so I bundled them in the airplane and flying them into Woomera. And here she's
more.
And the funniest thing, you wouldn't believe this, in Woomera, you know, they were x-raying him. You know, he was playing with this piece of the knife sticking out of his head because it's sort of embedded behind the eye, to the nose and skull. And here she came with a pair of, he was on an x-ray table, come with a pair of scissors, and she had gauze hanging, you know, from her arm, you know, must have been 20 feet long.
Yeah.
And he should try to stab him with the scissors.
Oh, more.
You know, like, I mean.
Yeah.
And anyway, I had to fly the guy down to Adelaide the next morning so they could operate it on him, you know.
Did he survive?
Yeah, he survived. I mean.
And what did the police do with her?
Well, I don't know what happened, but Skinny-itis was her name, and
Skinny-itis.
No, Skinny-itis was her name.
Yeah.
Skinny-itis.
And they were Aboriginals. And they were Aboriginals from Andamuka.
Yeah, Aboriginal woman from Andamuka.
Yeah.
And you know, later on there were some movie people up there, and you know, from Scandinavia, and they picked some movie, and here she came, and she's ugly as shit. Oh, Jesus. You know, here she gives me a hug.
Yeah.
A hug. And here they got a close-up, the stuff running on her nose and everything. and people in Europe thought that was my wife.
Oh, my.
Unbelievable. No, I tell you what, if I go through the logbook, I find, because I used to have a search and rescue or something virtually every week, something used to happen, you know.
Now listen, Doug. Listen to me very carefully.
Medical in, you know, like 62 July, medical flight, because, you know, the flying doctor was too far away, sitting on a broken hill, and I had to get him into Woomera and whatever. You know, I remember one kid got shot in the back, and little kid. This is a very interesting story. This little kid got shot, right?
Yeah, accidental.
I got him into. Yeah, they were playing with guns. 22. And I thought he's going to die. And I took him in, and he's sitting sort of half in the seat there. And he said, "Junkas, am I going to die?" I said, "No." And I sort of lying, and his big eyes, and you know, you're meeting eyes. So took him in there, you know. And maybe a month later, luckily from Melbourne, they had some top surgeon, you know, they come into Woomera there to, you know, just to work a little while, and then they got to go back. And they had top surgeons, so they were able to save him. So a month later, I come outside my door, and here's the guy sitting there. He wouldn't say a thing, just kept looking at me. And he followed me around like a dog for weeks and weeks in the Jeep, just like a dog, wouldn't say a word.
Yeah.
Kept looking at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then his family went and he disappeared, but that's the strangest thing, didn't say a word.
Was he Aboriginal?
Like, yeah, he was a half Aboriginal, half caste.
Yeah, half caste, yeah. Yeah, amazing.
Anyway, talking about Aboriginal, you know, in 1956, I think it was, 55, I watched them. I was the only one that was allowed to go to a corroboree at the 11 Mile, and I watched them kill a 7-week-old baby.
Yeah?
Picked up by the feet and bang against the rock. And Jimmy Cullen had to stay on top of the hill because, you know, ration and stuff like that. And you know, I used to watch them do the also thing, you know, cut the foreskin, the cross on the head, and knock the tooth off. I've seen it all.
And what did they kill the baby?
Well, you know, when children are partly deformed or something wrong with them,
Yeah.
They're being nomads. They can't carry them because when I spoke to McDougal, the Aboriginal apartment guard, I went out when we rounded as Aboriginal. I've never seen a white person before.
Yeah.
I'm the only one left in the world in Australia can say that. He said that that's normal because they're nomads. They can't carry people with them because the whole tribe dies.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. Do you mind if I put? Do you mind if I put that story in the book?
No, absolutely. It's 100%. You know, I got the spirit for that 11 mile, and I think even Kevin Kent, he's alive. He will remember it because I was the only one that was allowed to see that Jimmy Collin had to stay on top of the hill because I worked at 11 mile, you know.
Yeah.
And it happened so quick, it was unreal, you know.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable. Yeah. So, you know, I got a lot of pictures of Aboriginal. I went hunting with Aboriginal, just walking, hunting with spears.
Yeah.
Picture of them all. They cut the kangaroo. After we got them, you know, they move around like animals.
Yeah.
Like kangaroos. They move like kangaroos a few feet, kangaroo like a few feet.
Yeah.
And that was Billy Pepper. And so they speared us. They throw the spear at them. Actually, they drive the spear in because they're so close.
Yeah.
With the spear, and they get enough in them, the kangaroo can't jump. It doesn't kill because it's, you know, spear doesn't go right through. The skin is tough, you know. And they cut them in half. They start a fire and cut them in half and just burn little bits so the flies don't get to it.
Yeah.
And carry them on the head. And I got the picture of them. They carry on the kangaroo, half of the kangaroos on top of the head.
Have you got any photos? Do you have any photos with you standing with the Aborigines?
Lots of pictures, yeah, a lot of
Well, I want one or two of those, right?
Yeah, I'll get you whatever I can.
No, they're subjects. That subject, we're talking about Aboriginals, and now and you told me some very interesting stories about Aboriginals, so I need a photo of you with these Aboriginals.
Well, you know, I've got something here that I shouldn't really have here. I don't know if you saw them at my place here, but I got the Turinga stones, you know, the Turinga stone. What happened? An old Aboriginal came to me and gave me the stone for safekeeping.
Yeah, how do you spell it? How do you spell that Turinga stone? Do you know?
Turinga, spelled with a T. Turinga, Turj something. Turinga. It's their life, you know. Their story.
Yeah.
And you know, it's got little marks in it, and they run the finger over it, and they sing song. They go, they knock the sticks to, you know, and then they tell the story from the stones.
Yeah. So it's like
keeping, and they used to come and in America and borrow them, you know, for the corroborees.
Yeah.
Before the corroboree really started. And my secretary, Mrs. Moskow, walked out, and I heard a big bang, you know, like boom, collapsed from his unconscious. And I woke up, and he is two Aboriginal, all painted up, you know, that normally they don't walk around in the night like that, and completely naked, and you know, and painted up, and she saw them, and she just, and then I just gave them the stones, and they came back, and the reason they let me have the stones because, you know, I was sort of the big boss there, whatever. It's because some of the young Aboriginal was taking them and selling them to people for to buy liquor, you know.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of story about Aboriginal. I used to go, get food for them all the time. I used to give them some rations.
Yeah.
And the one thing I always can remember about giving them the ration, it was funny because, there was blocks of soap.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like sugar, tea, and there's big blocks of soap. Of course, it's made out of fat.
Yeah.
And what they used to do they used to just throw that to the kangaroo dogs, and they just go, come, come, come. And I always wondered if the father, if they blew bubbles or not. I mean, it's, how your mind goes,
Yeah, yeah.
Either would they just throw the soap to the dogs, and they will go boom, boom, and eat it straight away. Big kangaroo dogs,
Right. Now, listen, mate, we're getting towards the end of the tape now, and I think you've given me about as much as you can give me, but what I want to say to you is this. Now, this is up to yourself. When you're on the planes travelling between home and Brazil, why don't you take a little notepad and don't write stories, just make headings, right? Headings are things that you think might be interesting, and then when you arrive home, get out your tape recorder and tell the stories in detail if you remember anything you think was worth saying. Now, the point is, all this will be written up by the time you get home, but should you send me anything that's really interesting, I will squeeze it in, right?
You got to understand that there's so many people that are new up there that nobody knew, like Vince Wake used to come by. I mean,
what I need, what I need, Darg, is this. The battery's starting to get flat in my phone too. What I need is this. I need stories, not just like I knew somebody and I knew somebody and I knew somebody. What I'm doing here is recording history, right? I'm recording history. So all the little stories that you have told me in this...
Interesting stories. You want the stories with what happened.
Yeah, what happened.
The fights. Do you want like when old Aboriginals got shot, some of them got shot dead up there by the Yugoslavs, that type of thing, or not?
Yeah, so give me the full details, try and remember the year, where it happened, at Kupapiti or Andamuka, and give me these details, and in your own words, just put the details in, say, well, look, in 1958, at such and such a place, such and such happened, and tell me those details, right? And put them on a tape. And if you want to dictate them to your secretary and get her to write them out, that's fair enough.
I will have tape recorders. I will start putting in on tape for you.
Yeah.
And also, what you should. I remember when they had. There was dozens of Aboriginals died because the Lutheran mission wouldn't give them enough food.
Yeah.
And what happened was they died of malnutrition. Young guys, they got sick, pleurisy or something.
Yeah.
And they kept it so quiet that Woomera, the guys from Woomera, they flew in oxygen tent for them. And they kept completely out of the papers, completely quiet.
Yeah.
It's like when an atomic bomb went off, when they closed the road when it's raining. Yeah. Nothing ever showed up in the papers.
Yeah. Okay, well, they're the type of things. You do that for me, and think about them while you're on the plane, with something to do between your home and Brazil, and just make little headings. Don't think of the stories, just make headings. That's the secret. And when you get home, you might have a half a dozen or a dozen, 10 or 50, it don't matter how many, and tell the stories in detail. Don't shortcut them. That's the important thing.
Yeah, well, what I might do also go through my picture and logbook, because that sort of, see, with logbooks and things, it tells you,
brings back
you know, like it kicks the thing in and then you get the story, you know?
Now, don't forget what I told you about the photos.
Yeah, no, there's the photos. But I can't get it to you because I'm leaving in about 5 hours. I'm leaving for Brazil.
No, that's all right. As soon as you get home, to work on this project, please. I know you'll be a busy man as soon as you get home. There'll be stuff piled up everywhere. And
let's see if I can get that stuff because that's important.
Because if you don't get it to me, we don't get it in the book, right?
Yeah. But
of course, I'm on a deadline factor. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I wish you would have told me because it's so massive, so material, you know, and even Stan Key, everybody, all of them say, and even Craig Sherman said, Darg, you got to get it out there because you're the only guy, the old timer left. You're the only one that lived. Nobody lived longer on the Opal field than you have, you know.
Yeah. Yes. Well, you know what I'm trying to do, mate. I'll work out the stories out of this tape. We've been talking now for probably an hour and a half or more, and I'll take the stories out of this tape, right, and I'll put them all together, and at least you'll get in the book. But if you send me the other stuff, you could end up with quite a good part of the book, right?
Well, you know, you got the story, you got the newspaper, you got...
Yeah, I got all that, but the point...
I'll get more of this stuff together for you.
Yeah, your personal things that you've done. The stuff from the newspapers, when you put that in the book, you've got to quote the newspaper and the date it come from. You don't say, so-and-so gave it to me, right? So it was in...
I know, but...
Yeah, so that's all been used, and I appreciate that very much. And your name is in the acknowledgements in the beginning of the book, thanking you for doing that, right? But
well, you know, even the things, you know, like I told Mr. Ward, you know, driving up there with to shove the bananas in the differential to make it, the clothing and the tires, to make it to Kupidi. You know, in Fred Ward's book, I told him he had that in there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it was in those days.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
You had to look after yourself. I mean, it was tough. You always had a little bit of tubing, fencing wire, and the big pair of pliers to fix your car. And
yeah, I know.
It was a tough going.
Well, I mean, I started in 1952 in Queensland and Opal. That's where I started.
Yeah.
And I lived out there on those fields, and in those days there was only 2 opal miners in all of Queensland, and I was one of them. The other one was Joe Kinnear at the Hayricks mine, and Joe and I were very close friends, and I lived there with them in 1956 for quite some time.
No, it was it was interesting. The driving through that area, looking. I mean, when we ride in Lightning Ridge, there was nothing there in 55, 56. Was nothing.
No, that's right. That's right.
There was nothing. Nobody was there. Just a few old timers. That's it.
Yeah, I know. See, I come here in March '61, which wasn't that long after there. And that's when I first...
There wasn't that many people even in 60, 61, was it?
No, and 2 years later, I helped do an official count, and there was only 33 full-time miners everywhere in every field.
There you go, because I used to fly up to, they didn't have an airstrip in...
No airstrip.
What's it, town sort of QP, off Lightning Ridge there, had an airstrip there.
Walgett.
What's the name?
Walgett.
Yeah. I used to land there and then get a ride up to, into Lightning region because they didn't have drift in there. But
yeah, but everybody used to land up the main street. You never. I
landed up the main street a few times.
Yeah.
To land there. I might have some picture of that too. I might have some.
Yeah.
But that was it was a wild west for them.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and I've been here ever since. I've been.
Interesting, Glenn. It was different, wasn't it?
Hey man, was it ever? And so was Queensland was totally different. Queensland was totally. It was rough. Yeah.
You know, I have a letter on file from September '69 when what's his name? The dentist, Des Burton.
Oh yeah, the chemist, yeah.
And chemist, and he said, "You're right, Junkas. We should start mindful," because I was there.
Yeah.
And with a few of my mates, and we were there, and really Jim and I was there, and maybe, and also I think it was Stan Keeley, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And then I talked to them, and I said, "Listen, really, this is pretty stuff. You got to stop that."
Yeah.
And I'll remember I was laying in a hospital in Adelaide when I got the letter. You remember in July 18, I discussed the airplane.
Yeah.
And he said, "Junkas, yeah, we're right. We should start mining there." And that's pretty much when it happened. And then of course a little bit later, main side and all that stuff.
Yeah, they all started then. Yeah. Now I remember Des Burton got his first bowler at Pinkilla and station just out of Quilpie, and he showed it to me, and I'd learnt to cut at the Hayrick's mine, and he didn't have no idea how to cut it. So actually, I cut his first bowler oval.
Jesus. Well, boulder oval, I mean, when I found out later, it's a rare. Like you couldn't even sell it later on when people started mining it. But of course, people didn't appreciate it. Except when I looked up some letters sent from the Opal House in Melbourne. Well, he had a store there selling medical instrument or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was sent to the United States in the 20s and the 30s to the guys that has the Peacock mine. He lived in Scottsdale, and I got the letters.
Oh yeah, that would with Hodson, wasn't it?
Hodson, yeah, but Hodson's father.
Yeah.
Like he's like the kid today, grandfather.
Yeah.
And here said because they lived in Chicago.
Yeah.
And here describing this cabinet specimen. They used to. I got all the things. This could be very interesting for you, but it's what they did. They drew it and painted the specimen and the black opal and everything. Like this black opal, somebody carried for £1 or they didn't call it pound, they call it guineas, and this cabinet specimen,
Yeah.
So, and also all the prices on the opal, and they called it fire opal in those days.
Yeah. That'd be interesting.
Maybe.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, but listen, this is all letters. I mean, this is the guy, and he's got the first letters only show that he's a sort of a pharmacy type of thing.
Yeah, I know. I knew him.
Building, he's got the Opal House on his letter, and this is from the 20s and 30s.
Any chance of a photocopy of those letters?
Yeah, I'm going to dig him up and get him because this is valuable.
Well, somebody has to
in the museum in Australia because nobody has that sort of information. Like all letters that was actually, and also the envelope that was sent out of the country, and how much an ounce and how much they were selling it for.
If I could get a photo.
He was also selling other things. He was selling other stones beside opal in there.
Yeah. I'd love a photocopy. I've still got my first miner's right, 17th of April, 1952.